What is the most important thing to understand about special needs?
I think people need to realize that they are a gift from God on this earth to make us all better and to encourage and inspire us. The things that they can overcome gives me goosebumps, Like there's nothing that they can't do.
Today we have an exciting guest, Darby Russo. Darby is a sister of Brady, one of my former students. I always feel like the siblings can get overlooked in the special needs journey, but you all are on a journey just as much as the parents are. And so I always like to get some more insights from that side of things. But Darby, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, essentially we're a space for families to come be heard, supported, equipped, and inspired. I'm big on stories, and I think everyone has a powerful story to share. And Brady, your brother, he's a very special person to me. I had the privilege of teaching him for 1 year, and we had a blast. But I want to hear about you a little bit. Who are you, and where do you live?
Sure. I'm Darby Russo. I live in Star, Idaho. It's a small town like outside of Boise, like 25 minutes from Boise. I moved here with my husband and two older daughters 2 years ago, Megan and Josie. And then we have since had our little boy, Tommy. We had him in November. Oh yeah, the five of us are here in Little Star, Idaho. I'm a graphic designer for a media company that's based out of Coeur d'Alene. So before moving to Boise, we were in Sandpoint. And yeah, my husband Jackson and I met in Sandpoint middle school and then started dating high school. We went to college at Boise State. So we had some roots here already in Boise. And then we moved back home. And then obviously we had our daughters. And then we were just feeling a pull to get up and move to Star, Idaho. It was kind of crazy how it all happened really fast.
Yeah.
But the blessings that have been since we've come here are unbelievable. So we're definitely where we're supposed to be. But that was definitely unplanned, but we're happy to be here.
Tell me about your brother.
Brady,
Just
he's a
vague, just whatever you want to say.
yeah, I know. I'm sure my sister and my parents, I listen to podcasts, they did a great job, but he's just a really special, down to earth dude. Like he brings a smile to everyone's face.
Yeah.
He's so personable. If you're in a bad mood, he's gonna cheer you up. Like you said, he's so capable of so much that people might doubt him or don't give him the credit that he deserves, but he is so capable. Impresses me all the time. He's constantly impressing me. He's just great. I love being around him.
Yeah. I know Bailey sent me a picture of him a few days ago or a week ago, and he was driving a boat in Mexico.
Yeah, they
I'm
were
like,
just
he's
in
not in Sandpoint. Where is he? He's like, oh, he's
yeah.
in Mexico. I'm like, whatever, living his best life.
Yeah, my mom said that he drove the yacht that they were on like 95% of the time. And there's other people that on this catamaran with them. Um, like, gosh, anyone he meets, people are infatuated with him. You can't help but love him.
Like, he just always wants to hang out.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
was like my personal assistant in class.
I
Like,
love it.
Brady, I need some staples or paper clips. Can you go to the staff room and get them? Then after a while, they're like, "Why is Brady always in the staff room?" I'm like, "Oh, he's helping me."
That's awesome. Yeah. If you give him a job, he does really well when you give him a job and he finds
Yeah,
purpose in that. So I bet that was just perfect for him. But I love that.
yeah, yeah. He would get into trouble when he didn't have anything to do, which isn't that different than anybody.
Right.
But and then some of his tasks that he was doing when I came into the picture at school were just like too elementary,
Yeah.
and that he'd be bored, and then he would start bugging people.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching him, I'm like he's just doing everything I would be doing too. Like
Yeah.
if you put me in a corner and tell me to shred papers, come on.
Yeah, he definitely thrives on, having a bigger responsibility because, like you said, like, he is so capable, like, he can do it, and so you give him these mundane tasks, he's gonna get bored, and he's gonna act out as
Yeah,
anyone would.
right. Take me back to the earlier days growing up. How much older are you than him?
I am 5 years older.
Okay. And, like, I know learning from your parents and Bailey, he was never diagnosed with, like, anything specific?
He wasn't, no. At the most that we got was he had autistic tendencies.
Mhm.
Take that with what you will. But basically, he had learning disabilities, cognitive delays, physical delays. I mean, and that's basically what we have. The Mayo Clinic joked and said he has Brady syndrome because they don't know. There's no label for him. But to be completely honest, putting a label on Brady probably just would have limited him. So it's probably the best thing that could have happened in hindsight, growing up. I always thought, "Oh gosh, it would be nice to know or be able to tell people like Brady has this or
Yeah.
this is why Brady can't do XYZ." But we were never given that diagnosis, but hindsight's 44. It's probably the biggest blessing that we didn't because it didn't pigeonhole him
Mhm.
into a specific, box, you know?
Yeah, I think that probably confused people, like
Yeah.
his teachers and
Right.
all the service providers
Yeah.
because they couldn't figure him out,
Mhm.
and it took really just seeing him as a person, and that's when I came in, and that's kinda my whole vibe in special ed. I remember meeting with the behavior specialist specifically about Brady, and they were trying to tell me all these ways to work with him, and when I it was already a couple months into school, and what I was doing was working. And I'm like, I don't know why you're telling me to do these things. He's
Yeah.
not having these aggressive behaviors. And like, well, this is what we need to do. And then I remember I was super frustrated after that meeting and I came to the staff and I was like, I'm starting a new consulting business and it's going to be called Street Sped. Make your child feel human again. And they're like, what are you talking about? But Brady inspired that because it was like, all right, he doesn't fit into a box. It makes sense that he had Brady syndrome. He's one of a kind.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you had to, like, look at him in that lens to really make sense of it. Did you notice anything when you were younger, like, early on, or what was the emotions behind all that when you started to, like, see something was up?
Like, I knew early on that Brady needed extra help
Yeah,
because I would go to his therapy appointments, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech, whatever it might be, with him and my mom. So, like, I knew that he needed extra help. There was caregivers that would come to our house and work with him in the house. So, obviously that's not normal. Like, that's not happening with my friend's siblings. So, like, I knew
yeah.
that there was something going on, but I never like, it just was normal to me, and I'm sure you hear that not a lot, like, growing up, like, it just that's my normal. So,
Mhm.
I didn't really think much of it when I was young at all, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. When did you start to, like, think something of it?
So, I guess when I started getting into, like, babysitting age, I guess that may have been where my mind kind of shifted a little bit because like, I was taking care of him and then my friends started getting more involved with helping me take care of him and stuff. And just seeing that the shift that he was like having in their lives too, like maybe that's when I started realizing that he was special, like he was different. Never in a negative way though, but he brought so much change, I guess, into all of our lives during that critical time. So I'd say around middle school through high school. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the time I started realizing that there was something different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's your relationship with him now?
It's great. I mean, I don't get to see him all the time because 'cause I'm in Boise now, but every time I see him, we pick up where we left off. It's a goofy relationship.
Yeah.
It's really fun watching him with my kids. My girls love him, Uncle B,
They
is what they call him. They love playing cars with him. I'm sure you know that he loves cars, so he always
Yeah.
brings me cars. They are obsessed with him, they adore him, and it's so amazing and incredible to watch, like, my girls loving him as much as I do and how much I did growing up.
Yeah.
But it's really sweet relationship watching that form for
That
sure.
that's so cool. I could totally see him just eating it up.
He loves his nieces and nephew. He's very gentle, like, he is a he's a big boy, but he is so gentle with them, and it's really sweet, it's very endearing. He used to say, like, he would not hold any of them until they were big enough to hold his hand. That's what he would say, that they're too small. He knows his own strength, which is good, I appreciate, but now they're getting to the age where they wanna play with him, and he doesn't really have a choice because 'cause they're gonna insert themselves.
Yeah. What do you admire about him the most?
I admire how he's resilient and persistent. Like, he is going to get his point across, like, it might not
Yeah.
happen right away, but he's gonna keep trying, and he's really good about not getting frustrated when we don't understand exactly what he's wanting, and I really appreciate how he keeps trying, and he'll try a different way, and he'll say it maybe a different way that we'll understand, and he always gets there. We always get there with him, but it might take a while, so I really admire that about him for sure.
Yeah, I remember in class one day, uh, for our, like, morning activities, I would let him sit at my desk and click through it. It was like a slideshow, and he would be in charge of clicking through it so I could be up at the board. And I remember one day I wasn't paying attention or I didn't tell him to come sit in my chair, and he kept coming up to me, and I'm like, "What do you want? What?" And I couldn't figure it out, and then finally he got his point across, and then I was like, "Oh, you wanna do the board? Sorry, buddy." And then he just sat down and did his thing. Yeah. How alright, enough about Brady. How about you? How has growing up with him shaped who you are a little bit and your outlook on life?
I think so the stage of life I'm in right now, I'm a parent, I'm a mom to 3 young kiddos, so I always have it, like, in the back of my mind, not even in the back of my mind, I'm constantly saying it to my kids, "We love others, we respect others with different abilities than us, we will treat them the same, we will love them the same." Having that background, like, with growing up with a special needs brother, like, I know how sensitive that might be to families or even the individual themselves, so I just want to make sure that I'm raising my kids to be accepting and welcoming and encouraging to those with other needs, so that's definitely, like, shaped me a lot,
Yeah.
and I hope to raise kids that, include those that have other abilities and are aware of that and can stick up for them and are educated on.
Right, right. How about when you're having kids? Was it in the back of your mind that, maybe they'll be born with something else, something different?
Yeah, so since Brady did get genetic testing done at the Mayo Clinic, we knew it wasn't a genetic thing. So it was never in the back of my mind that I could have a child similar to Brady with those kinds of needs. However, I did cross my mind, like, if I were to have a kid with special needs, I do feel like I would be more equipped for that just growing up with. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a village. It takes a lot of years of figuring it out. So
Yeah.
I do think that that did cross my mind. Like, if I had a kid with any kind of special needs, I do feel like I would have a leg up on the knowledge of what comes with that. So but it never, like, inhibited me from wanting another child or growing
Yeah.
my family, so I always know that's a possibility, and I would open them I
Alright.
would love them with open arms.
Totally. Well, it's like just like we're not guaranteed anything.
Yeah, never.
And my 4th child was born at 29 weeks, and he was in the NICU for 9 weeks.
Wow.
And they told me multiple times, like, he's at high risk for developmental challenges and all this and this. And I remember, like, thinking and I mean, he still could, I don't know. I mean, he's 6 months now, he's doing great, thankfully. But I remember thinking when they were telling me all this news, like, it doesn't concern me at all,
Yeah.
mostly because I have the background,
Yeah.
but they were, like, presenting it in a way like, "You can call this guy and this people and all these services," and I actually just got a packet in the mail from Early Start, I think it was called,
Mhm.
for all these services, and I'm, like, flipping through it, thinking like, "Man, this is what all these families go through." And even when I got it, I thought, like, "No, this isn't for me," and I just put it in the in the desk.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about. It's definitely my first 3, I didn't think that way at all, but it's in my mind. But it doesn't change anything.
Right.
It's like, it's still your kid,
Yeah. Yeah,
and you're still gonna love them and do whatever you have to do. What were some of the challenges for you growing up, having a special needs brother?
Um, I honestly will give credit where credit's due. My parents are incredible.
Yeah.
My sister is amazing. I never felt like I never felt like a big weight on my shoulders growing up with a special needs brother. I honestly have just great, good memories. I guess like difficult I don't even want to complain that, like, I would have to, watch him when he was, 13 or whatever because he couldn't watch himself because he had special needs. Like, I honestly like, I can't even complain about that. There did I watch him more? Did I watch that sibling more than other kids my age were watching their siblings? Sure. Was it sometimes like I'd rather be out with my friends or doing whatever? Sure. But like I can't look back at that and have any resentment about that because I really don't. I would say maybe the hardest thing would be, and this was like within myself, like I was never embarrassed is not the right word, but more so like nervous of what other people were thinking or if he was maybe in their bubble too much or making them uncomfortable. Just being more hyper aware of that kind of just like made me a little anxious and just brought on more like anxiety than I probably needed to put on because, people would be like, Darby, he's fine. Like, we love him. He's okay. Like, give him space. I'm like, all right. I was thinking he needed to do that for you. But
Oh,
like
wow.
that's good for me to hear. So I think like making sure that he wasn't overstepping other people's comfort levels would have been like the hardest thing for me. But again,
Yeah.
like something within me that I needed to fix, not something he did. That was necessarily wrong.
So most people you saw were inviting and, like, it didn't affect them.
No. If anything, there's multiple friends from Bailey and I who then grew up to go into a field for special needs children. So, if anything, he was just such a blessing and a light in their lives that they carry that on to their careers. So, quite the opposite of any negativity.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like there's such a stigma around it, and with Unspecial, that's one of my goals is just kinda normalize it and get rid of that stigma that people have.
Yeah,
Because once people take the time to get to know them or be around them, they always end up being a blessing in their life.
absolutely.
And it's great to see. And I always enjoyed that about teaching is introducing them to people who just never come across them. Like going into the community was one of my favorite things. There was the best stories because as you know, there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
filter, so they just do what they do. And then I just love watching I'm like a big people watcher, so I love watching people's interactions,
Yeah.
especially when they would do weird stuff. I'm like, this is hilarious. I love it.
It's awesome.
Like, I
Yeah.
remember not in Sandpoint, but when I was teaching in San Diego, I would always take my students to Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
It was our Friday activity, and we would Thursday, we'd come up with a recipe, and then Friday, we'd go shop for it and then come back to class and cook it. And 2 instances didn't go so well. One time, one of the students knocked over the wine rack, and it just blew up everywhere. And there was, like, half of people were like, "Let me help," and then the other half are looking at us like, "Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing here?"
Like,
But
look away.
yeah, I know. I never really, like, cared too much what those people thought. I'm like, "It's good for you." Really
Yeah.
gets you outside of yourself a little bit.
Absolutely.
How did you have any situations like that in public or like taking Brady to school that people just didn't understand, or how did you handle that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure there's like 101 stories that I could think of taking Brady out into public and something happening. And people being like, "What in the world?" I'd say, like, sometimes he would, like, behaviorally, like, scream and, like, couldn't get him to, like, calm down or have, like when he was younger, he would have, like, epic meltdowns,
Yeah.
uh, and just, like, the stares that you would get and stuff like that, but nothing like where he knocked over an entire rack of wine, although that would've made for a great story. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever feel isolated growing up or forgotten? Like all the attention was on him?
You know, I'll touch on your first point question first, if I ever felt isolated. I wouldn't say I felt fully isolated because I always had my sister, and
Yeah.
we obviously were going through the same exact thing. We're only 2 years apart, so basically the same stage of life. We went through it together, so, like, I always knew that if there was someone that knew exactly how I felt. But I would say it was a little isolating not having friends that could fully relate, although they were pretty much immersed into Brady's life and in my life, but I never really had like a friend that I could rely on or talk to or, hash things out with or really vent to that would really understand. And I think that would have been nice to have.
Yeah.
Sisters are great,
Yeah.
but, sometimes having an outside perspective that maybe go through something similar but slightly different, that could give a different perspective, that would have been nice. And
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I don't know if I ever really sought after that or at the time realized that was something that I needed or desired, but looking back on it, that probably would have been helpful for sure.
Yeah. Well, that kind of hits on the next question I was going to ask, if you had any supports or wish you had support growing up.
Yeah, again, supportive family and the most supportive family I could have been born
Yeah.
into. But like I said, hindsight 2020, I didn't realize that maybe I needed some of that support just to kind of understand those big concepts growing up that my parents were doing the best to navigate us through, but maybe I could have benefited from just an outside perspective, someone that had been through it or going through it or walking through it at the same time as me. But I never felt overlooked. I was always very busy in sports, busy in my academics. My parents were at every single event that I was in, every volleyball game, any tournament. So they never skipped a beat. Even with Brady, they were bringing him along. We also have some very supportive grandparents, so we had lots of helping hands. Brady was like our team mascot, shagging the balls for us at volleyball. So they never once made me feel overlooked. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
know it it's probably more common for siblings to kind of feel overlooked or
Yeah.
not really fully supported, just because the fact of the matter that it takes a lot more extra attention to support a child with special needs.
Absolutely.
How about your family dynamics? You kind of hit on it too, but how are those, and have they changed over time, or like tell me about like Christmas when you're all together.
Christmas is always growing up was chaotic.
Yeah.
It was something we always looked forward to, and we love Christmas and we love that time. If I'm being completely honest, I'll spill the beans a little bit. It was always just a chaotic day for us, and
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in my family would disagree. Edie would get very overwhelmed with all of the presents, all of the noise, and I think that that would kind of trickle down to all of us. Like, it would just be kind of a little stressful. He doesn't do great with attention on him or a lot of stimulation going on at once. So Christmas was kind of a hit or miss. I mean, we always
Yeah,
look forward to I always have great memories of Christmas, but the day of could be a little stressful.
totally.
Yeah.
I can see Brady just tearing through presents.
Yeah, it's funny. You would think that, but he would open up a present and then kind of like give no attention to it, and then kind of, like, be totally overwhelmed and like not want to continue to open presents and like we'd be like, "Brady, like, open it." Like, Bailey and I being excited in his face, and, like, that was not what he needed. So, yeah, it was I would say he's a lot more mellow now, so Christmas now is a lot calmer and a lot more exciting, and we have our little ones that make it chaotic, but a different
Yeah.
kind of chaotic. It was definitely we had to navigate that for sure, like, just making sure we weren't overwhelming him, and making him uncomfortable, really.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like what I always appreciate when families just bring their child into the mix and all that kind of stuff and take them like to your volleyball games and
Mhm.
just give them the most quote unquote normal life that they could because I feel like now he's 22, 3, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 22.
He's just like he knows life.
Yeah.
And I could see him nowadays at Christmas just he's kind of an old man at heart, you know. I could see him just chilling in the chair with his
Yeah,
flannel
he is.
flannel pajama pants on,
Yes, exactly. Yep, that's him.
having one of his nieces in his lap and just
Yeah. Yeah, that's him. He's just collecting pieces for his gator. That's what he lives for. I think he got like gosh, what did he get this time? Maybe like a big gator tarp that weather protects it. I think that's maybe what he got, but he has all the accessories and that's yeah, he loves Christmas now.
that's so great. What are your hopes for his future?
I mean, my hopes for Brady's future is that he gets to just keep doing things that he loves, getting out on his gator. Bailey and her husband just purchased this beautiful property, and
Nice.
I hope he can get out there and just shred it up and help them out as they build their beautiful farmstead. And I think that would be so great for him. He loves being outside and just getting his hands dirty and working hard, like snow blowing and breaking the leaves or whatever. I just hope that he continues to do those joyous things. And, he lives for the summer. So being able to continue to boat and drive the boat and just do those things that are meaningful for him. I definitely hope that for his future.
Yeah, I just thought I have a construction business. I'm like, I should bring him on some of the jobs. He could cruise around with me.
Yeah, he would probably have a blast.
I know. Get him in on I don't know. He loves power tools. He would
Yeah,
come in every morning. I would put on the big screen, like snow plowing or lawn mowing,
yeah,
and it would help him just kind of ease into the day. And he would get his chair, sit right up front, and just watch it.
yeah,
And then he would turn around like whenever something cool would be on, be like, "Hey,
yeah.
yeah,
That is his love language for sure.
that's so great." What do you think is the most important thing for people to understand about special needs?
I mean, I think the most important thing is to realize that they're human beings, individuals, just like you and me.
Yeah.
They have feelings, they have aspirations, desires, goals. They are no different than you or me. I think people need to realize that they are a gift from God on this earth to make us all better and to encourage and inspire us the things that they can overcome gives me goosebumps. Like there's nothing that they can't do. And watching them be so successful and succeed and reach milestones just, you know, gives me so much. I mean, you can't even put a word on it because it's so inspiring, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope people can, change any mindset, any negative connotation that they might have on someone with special needs. I just hope that can be erased because there's just so much joy and so much that they can give to this world. And they do.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. How about advice for other siblings on a journey with a special needs brother or sister?
Yeah. So I guess this kind of goes back to what I didn't realize I needed at
Mm,
the time, but just maybe talking with people your age who was going through something similar, bouncing stories, ideas, laughing with, crying with, whatever. Having that would be so nice. And as a mom, I'm on so many like mom groups on Facebook or whatever it might be. And I'm sure that they have that for siblings who have
Mhm.
siblings with special needs. So finding groups like that, plugging in, getting it more involved. I wish I had gotten more involved with, Brady Special Olympics or getting to know his teams. I'd go to his Special Olympics. I would go to his 4-H, but I wish I would get more involved and just really have immersed myself more into the activities that he was doing. I was more engulfed with what I was doing in high school or whatever at the time. I just felt so busy. But I wish that I would have taken the time to been more present with him.
Yeah. Yeah, we started the, All-Star Olympics
Yeah.
at Sandpoint High School, and Brady, he was an Olympian that day, straight up. And we had a wheelbarrow, a relay, and, like, a lap,
Yeah.
and we trained for it for, like, 6 months. Like, we were in it. The ASB had signs. Were you there by chance?
I'm sure I was.
Yeah.
I'm yeah.
It was a scene. It was a COVID year, so the school hadn't done anything, and obviously there's probably 100 students out there, like multiple faculty, and I remember after all the events, we had the ceremony, and we played the Olympic music. All the students had headbands. I brought in face paint, and they get their medals, and they got their medals whenever everybody was starting to mingle. And I turned around, and Brady was signing somebody's shirt.
Oh my gosh.
And then, like, all the students started signing everyone's shirts, and I was standing there watching, like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
That is too good. I love that.
And then, yeah, he was showing off his medal to everyone. The welding class made the medals,
Oh, nice. Oh,
and
yeah.
the business class made a shirt. It was so legit.
That is
Definitely, hands down, the coolest thing I ever did.
so cool.
But what made it so good is that all the students showed up. Like, if they didn't show up and be an Olympic athlete that day, it would've been like, "Oh, that was fun," but
Yeah.
they were in it.
They showed up to compete. I love
Yeah,
it.
so funny. What advice would you give to parents?
Goodness. Well, I guess from just like watching my parents, my advice for other parents would be to really be your kid's biggest advocate. No one is going to advocate harder for your kid than you. So you make sure that they are getting the services that they are rightfully deserving of, that they're in the schools that they're deserving of, programs that they are deserving of. I would advise parents to find someone that has been through it because my parents were fortunate to be very close to someone, one of Brady's caregivers, that had a son with special needs to kind of be a guide for them. So if you can find someone, lean on them, ask them questions. No one should have to do this by themselves
Yeah.
blindly. There are people who have gone through it. The system isn't easy. It's not great. So knowing people that have been through those challenges already, like they are there to help. There are people there willing and wanting to help. And I know my parents, if someone with special needs, a parent with a kid with special needs came to them, they would be excited and eager to help them because they don't want their kid having to go through any of the challenges, hoops, jumps, leaps that Brady had to go through.
Yeah. No, that's huge. That's one of our core missions is just to link all the parents up and siblings and everybody to bounce ideas off of, learn from.
Yeah.
Because I noticed teaching in IEP meetings, I would come across so many parents that were just so defeated.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, there's got to be something for them to be able to express themselves. Because in the IEP meeting, it's not the place.
Right.
It's just
No.
it. Yeah, those meetings could go a lot different. You just get in the room and everybody says their 2 cents, and then they leave like a little bit of time for parent input, which it should be the complete opposite. Like the parent is the expert; they know what's best, So let's listen to the parent.
Absolutely. Yeah, making sure your voice is heard and the administration knows your kid and how they operate and how they learn and excel. Like that's definitely should be a team effort. And like you said, parents should be doing most of the talking for sure.
Yeah. Well, so good. A lot of good insight. Any closing thoughts?
So I would just have to say thank you. Thank you for the impact that you had on Brady's life. I can't believe it was only 1 year that you worked with him because the amount of times that he has talked about Zach is insane. I thought surely you were there his whole high school, but no, you were only there for 1 year. So, as a sister, deep down, thank you for looking after him. Thank you for being his advocate. That is what every child with special needs deserves and should have is someone that is on their side in their court. So thank you so much, and I just appreciate what you're doing now after the fact. I know you said you own a construction company, but it sounds like you might be doing this on the side or just as a passion, and I just admire that so much.
Yeah, thanks. No, I never wanted to step away. It's just when I moved to Idaho, they don't pay very well. I think our third kid was born and I was like, we're not gonna make it. So I need to try to figure something else out. But no, I mean, yeah, it's definitely unspecial been on my mind for quite some time. Thankfully, my construction operation is going well, so I have some time to step away from that. And now here we are. We've been going for about 5 months now.
Nice.
I have a book coming out
What?
that I'll definitely send you a copy. It's
Please do.
12 stories from my teaching days. And the All-Star Olympics is one of the chapters. And then I relate all the stories. The title of the book's called Special Days. So this is my shameless plug.
I love it.
I relate all the stories back to the Bible and how
Oh,
once I changed my perspective and started to try find God in my days and through the stories of what the students were doing,
yeah.
my days just became special.
Wow.
So it's exciting. It's being published right now. Um, until now, I was the only one who's read it, but I sent it to a handful of people and getting some good feedback. So, I
Wow.
mean, the goal is just hopefully it impacts and helps a lot of families to see life a little bit differently.
That is so amazing. I can't honestly, that is like the book for me. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
it's a short. I think in the end it'll be 135 pages. I mean, I've read it once I was edited in like 2.5 hours,
Awesome.
so it's not too crazy.
Not too crazy, yeah. I
Yeah.
think everyone should read that book and they will learn so much from it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks.
Alright, bye.